Once upon a time, there was a city named Mithila. It was ruled by a king named Phuvadon Mongkonraj. The king had a wife named Queen Nantha. The royal couple had a son named Prince Bintong. The city was prosperous and peaceful. In the city, there was a family whose daughter was born with a face similar to that of a horse. Prior to her birth, her mother dreamed that a heavenly being gave her a jewel. So she named her daughter as Matni or Kelnama, meaning a jewel horse-faced woman. The word Matni or Kel means a jewel, while the word Nama means horse-face, but we can call her Kel for short. Though Kel had a strange appearance, she was an intelligent woman and possessed a miraculous power of predicting correct weather conditions. So she could tell the farmers to cultivate their crops in accordance with weather conditions. Her knowledge not only brought prosperity to her family, but also to the community as a whole. One day, Prince Bintong flew his favorite kite into the sky, which later got loose and fell in front of Kel. She saw the kite with its distinct appearance, so she decided to keep it as her own. But in just a moment, the servants of the prince arrived and asked for the kite from her.
Kel! Kel! Give that kite to me!
No! I will return the kite to its owner.
Kel refused to give it to them and insisted only she would return the kite to its owner. When the prince arrived on the scene and heard what Kel said, he got upset and thought that the woman talked evasively. The prince took a strong dislike to her when he saw her strange face, but he wanted her to return the kite, so he pretended to be nice to her. The prince promised her a handsome reward in exchange for his favorite kite, but Kel refused to accept anything. She demanded the prince marry her and take her to his palace. Without giving it serious thought, the prince agreed to her demand just for the sake of getting back the kite.
If you give it to me, I will reward you handsomely.
No, I don't want anything. I want you. I want you to marry me.
Oh, okay.
After getting his kite, the prince disappeared without keeping his promise with her. Kel waited for the prince for several days, but there was no sign of him. So she asked her parents to seek an audience with the king and inquire of him about the promise that his son had given to her. At first, the couple hesitated and told their daughter to know her place, but Kel fell sick as she refused to eat. Her parents feared Kel would fast to death, so they went to inform the king, who suddenly became angry on hearing the story. However, the queen was very kind to them and promised to ask her son about his irresponsible promise. After being informed of the whole story by her son, the queen instructed the prince to keep his promise and thus sent her maids to welcome Kel to the palace. But Kel refused to come because she wanted to sit on the golden litter used by the royal family. After her demand was met, Kel came to live in the palace, where she did not find happiness as imagined, because the prince never proposed marriage to her. One day, King Phuvadon called Kel to meet him and set the condition that if she could bring Mount Meru to decorate the royal garden, only then he would arrange a marriage ceremony for her and Prince Bintong. However, if she could not do so, she would face the death penalty. Others set forth a long journey in search of Mount Meru, Although she traveled through several forests occupied by fierce animals, Gail never saw any sign of it. Exhausted by the difficult journey, Gail collapsed and lost consciousness. After regaining consciousness, she met a hermit who felt sympathy for her as she was too innocent to know a trick has been played on her. The hermit decided to help her, and with the help of his magical power, Gail was now able to remove her hard face and appear as a beautiful woman at any time. The hermit also gave her a book which could be transformed into either a flying bird or a snake, and a stick which could be transformed into a sacred knife. The hermit then told her to bring just only a small stone from Mount Meru and placed it in the royal garden. That was enough, since the king did not mention the entire amount. After placing a small stone in the royal garden, Gail informed the king, who just kept quiet. Upon learning the truth, the queen then arranged a marriage ceremony as promised, with Gail much to the dissatisfaction of the king and the prince. Some time later, the king thought of another plan to get rid of Gail. He sent a message to King Promatat of Romviti city, asking for the hand of his daughter named Princess Tassamali for Prince Bintong. King Promatat agreed and set the date for the auspicious occasion. When Prince Bintong was about to leave the city by boat, Gail came to express her displeasure with him and blamed him for his unfaithfulness to her.
I'm your wife. How could you do this to me?
The prince was very angry and demanded Gail to have a baby for him. She would be put to death.
I'm going to go to Romviti City. When I come back, you must have a baby for me. If you don't, I will kill you.
This man! How could you do this to me?
Gail herself did not know how she could bear baby for him without copulation. Though she felt helpless, Gail had a strong determination to retaliate against the prince. To counter the challenge of the prince, she left the city and traveled to Romviti city by her flying boat. After removing her horse face mask, Gail sought shelter with an old couple near the river outside the city. One day, while taking a bath in the river, Prince Bintong met her and was infatuated by her beauty. While his new wife was sleeping, the prince sneaked out of the palace and, dressed as a villager, flirted with Gail, who was ready to be his wife as she wanted to have a baby with him. The couple lived together until Gail became pregnant. Before taking leave, the prince gave her a ring and returned to Mithila city without taking Princess Tassamali with him. After giving birth to the baby boy, Gail tied the ring around his arm and sent the baby to live with the hermit who had helped her. The hermit meditated and knew that Prince Bintong was in danger, as he was surrounded by a giant army led by the giant king named Palarat.
Your husband is in jeopardy. You should go to help him as fast as possible.
The hermit then transformed Gail into a man and told her to rescue the prince at once. Gail managed to kill the giant king and seized his city. The queen of the dead giant king then gave her two beautiful daughters named Soi Suwan and Jansuda to Prince Bintong.
He deserves both of them more than I do.
The prince refused to accept the offer and he was not the one who won the battle. So the two princesses should be given to Gael, who agreed without hesitation. Gael then told Prince Bintong to stay in the giant city for some time while she took the giant daughters to the cottage of the hermit and then told them the whole story. After telling the two princesses who she was, Gael took the two princesses to meet Prince Bintong and gave both of them to be his wives.
Soi Suwan and Jansuda should be with you.
Gael then returned to the cottage of the hermit to meet her son. After staying in the giant city for some time, Prince Bintong took his two wives to his own city, and to his amazement, he was confronted by Gael, who then presented him with his own son.
Darling, here is our baby.
Liar! I don't believe you.
At first, he did not believe her, but the ring around the boy's arm convinced him to accept the boy as his own son. The prince then gave the boy a name of Prince Bin Gael. Some time later, Princess Tasmali thought about Prince Bintong, so she came to meet him. However, she became frustrated. After seeing the prince showing his love for Soi Suwan and Jansuda much more than for her, she decided to return to her city with great disappointment and anger. Meanwhile, there was a giant king named Prakai Mat who ruled the city of Prakaija. He had a wife named Queen Ampon. The giant king had been a good friend of Palarat, who was killed by Gael. One day he thought of Palarat and he went to see him. Upon discovering the death of his dear friend, he decided to take revenge on Prince Bintong. The giant king led his army to attack Mithila city, where no one dared to fight with him except Gael. Soi Suwan and Jansuda told Prince Bintong to ask for help from Gael, but the prince did not believe in Gael's ability. The two princesses thus decided to tell the whole story to the prince. Upon learning the truth, the prince was very happy and wanted a reconciliation with Gael, who was adamant not to help unless the king and queen came to ask her. After being requested by the royal couple, Gael transformed herself into a man and went to kill the giant king easily. Since that day, the prince loved Gael much more than in the past. Gael became pregnant again, and another giant king named Prakai Kot, who was a good friend of Prakai Mat, came to attack the city as an act of revenge for his dead friend. During the war, Gael gave birth to 3 baby girls named Jamjan, Hiranrat, and Prapason, respectively. The city of Mithila became peaceful until the 3 princesses reached their teens and another event took place. While the 3 teenage princesses were relaxing in the royal garden, a Hasidic bird mistook them as its prey, so it held the 3 princesses in its mouth and flew away. Before being swallowed by the big bird, a hermit living nearby came to rescue them and had great sympathy for the 3 girls, so he taught them magical arts. At that time, there was a city named Romajak, which was ruled by Tao Tosamitra. The king has 3 teenage sons, whose names were Tinagon, Sonarin, and Sinara, respectively. One day, while the 3 princes traveled on the sea, their boat was sunk by a heavy storm. Fortunately, they were rescued by a kind Naga who then gave them a poison that could be used to protect themselves in the face of danger. The prince then paid their respect to the Naga for its kindness and continued their journey through the forest. Meanwhile, after teaching magical art to the three princesses, the hermit decided to find suitable husbands for them. He made an announcement that anyone who could defeat any princess in the fight would get the hand of that princess. No competitors, which included human and non-human, could defeat the princesses. The three princes heard of the competition, so they took part in the event.
Something going on there?
As it turned out, the three princes were on a par with the three princesses. Since there was no winner and no loser in the fight, the hermit thought that they were soulmates. He told them to choose the partner of their choice and arranged a marriage ceremony for them. At the same time, Princess Tassamali gave birth to a baby boy named Prince Pinsinchai. The young prince was sent to study the magical arts with a teacher in his city. After her son grew up, Princess Tassamali thought of Prince Bintong, so she asked the magician to use his magic spell to make the prince become infatuated with her so much so that he could no longer live in peace. The prince then stole the flying boat, the secret knife, and the horse-face mask from Gale and headed to Romiti city. Upon knowing the truth, Gale led an army to the city of Romiti and demanded the return of Prince Bintong. But Princess Tasmali refused and sent her son to fight with Gale. At first, Gale gained the upper hand, but Prince Pinsinchai asked his teacher to help. And this time, Gale was defeated and placed under arrest. To rescue Gale, King Puvadon sent Prince Bingale to help his mother. While on the way to help his mother, Prince Bingale met the three princes who were actually his brothers-in-law. Since they didn't know Prince Bingale, so they fought with him but were unable to defeat the prince. They went to tell the wife, who later knew that the enemy was actually their elder brother. After knowing the news of their mother, the three princesses and their husbands joined Prince Bingale in a war with Romiti city. After the war ended, The magician was arrested and confessed to being guilty, while Prince Pinsinchai was able to escape. Princess Tasmali herself would face the death penalty if her father did not request for mercy from Prince Bintong. While returning to Mithila city, Prince Bintgel met Prince Pinsinchai, who was surrounded by his army. Prince Bintgel told him to surrender and forget the past, as they were brothers. Prince Pinsinchai asked for forgiveness from his elder brother and joined the group heading to the city of their father. They all lived in Mithila city happily.